Good afternoon. We want to welcome everyone to our STEM, Electrical Engineering and Computer Engineering and IT Employer Panel. Today is June 18th, 2020. We are so excited to have you here on today. We will be having some great employers to give you tips and pointers about how to get in this profession and tips and pointers on how to start. I'm going to turn this over to my co-worker, Sheila Moses, and I'm going to let her take over at this time.
Again, welcome everyone. We want to thank all our panelists from various companies that's joining us today and all our students that's online with us, as well as some faculty and staff who may be joining us to learn more about these companies and opportunities so our faculty can help students too. So to be respectful of everyone's time, we're going to get started. We're going to have some questions for the panelists. All of the panelists are going to answer the first 3 questions, as well as when they first come on to introduce themselves, tell what company they're with, their title, and if they're a U of M alum. So we're going to get started now and see Dr. Meeks and I. And our first question will be,
hold on a second.
Okay.
So just to jump in, we're going to have some questions for you today. We're going to also, at the end, allow you to turn your camera on so that you can ask questions. We want you to put any questions you may have in the chat as we go through the panel. And we are so excited you all are here. So take it away, Sheila.
Thank you. All right. So you can see where all our panelists are from with the logos that's on the screen, as well, like they will introduce themselves as well. So the first question is, what suggestions can you give students to prepare for their interviews online or in person? So we're going to start with Calandra.
Hey, good afternoon. Do I need to introduce myself before I answer the question?
Yes, please.
My name is Calandra Cleveland. I am an IT manager at AutoZone. I actually lead 5 functional areas there. It includes collaboration, desktop support, desktop engineering. We do some Power App development and collaboration. So my whole space is end user services and collaboration. What I would suggest that students can do to prepare for interviews online or in person. Oh, and I am a University of Memphis alumni. I'm also on the University of Memphis alumni, involved in the Alumni Association, and I'm on a computer science board. So I would suggest being familiar with technical terms. Not only just the general technical terms, but the more recent terms like collaboration, modern workplace, a lot of those things that are like these buzzwords, understanding what those actually mean, what cloud means, what is cloud computing, things of that sort. Because right now we're not just looking for people who can sit in your seat and code. In most cases, some of the developers or some of the people that were taken from the computer science area, computer engineering area, they're not deep programmers. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for project management type of skills as well. So understanding those type of terms, what does it mean, CapEx, OpEx, those things to help not only do technical terms, but business terms that really makes a candidate stands out when they understand more than just the technical information that they learned while in school and dig deeper, and maybe even if they have to find it on their own or take a business class as part of their program. Since I am an alumni from University of Memphis, I'm very familiar with my computer science program gave, and it wasn't until I did the master's program that I had a real understanding of business that was actually invaluable as I tried to navigate the company. So that's one of the things that I would recommend.
Thank you for that. Nedra?
Hi there, good afternoon. I'm Nedra Bailey, and I'm with Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. I am a training and development specialist there. I've been there 19 years. I am not a not MLGW, but a U of M alumni. But I did go to the U of M to take a few classes and things like that. I graduated from UT Martin and Trevecca, Nazarene College. I've gone to a number of other universities, University of Phoenix online. I've gone to Western Governors University online. So I'm a lifelong learner. I like to learn. Some suggestions that I can give to you to prepare for interviews, whether they are online or they're not online, is for you to practice answering interview questions. I understand you being nervous, and I understand I'm even nervous right now with all you guys looking at me, asking me, or waiting for the answer. But practice answering your interview questions. You can Google interview questions for intern students, or if you are getting ready to graduate and become an electrical engineer or computer science person or an IT person. Practice Google and practice answering those questions. And as you are answering those questions, make sure that you try to eliminate words like or or so, or you know what I mean? Those words are okay. They're okay for regular conversation, but an interview is a legal conversation. So you want to be able to put forth your best effort, and you want to impress the interviewer as much as possible. So those are the things that I think that you should do. You should practice speaking, answering questions. You should practice answering interview questions and try to get away from like. I hear a lot of people saying like, stuff like that. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey, Sharon. What suggestions do you give us, the students, to help prepare for interviews?
I was talking as my phone was on mute, so don't do that. So good afternoon. I am Sharon Bailey with ServiceMaster. I am the IT Communications Manager, and I am not a University of Memphis alum. However, I have a few babies that have gone there, so I am excited about this opportunity to speak. So one suggestion that I would make to the students to prepare for their interviews online or in person is to do some research on the company. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. I got a package coming. I'm sorry, hold on.
No problem. Okay, why she step away?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just closed the door. The dog is barking. She's gonna do that. My apologies. So research the company. Understand the type of company that you are interviewing with. If you can find out some of the history on the company, you know, if they're a privately owned company or if they're a public company, and just know some background about the company. That's one of the things that I typically do when I do interviews with ServiceMaster employees or potential candidates. It's just to find out, you know, what do the candidates know about ServiceMaster? We're going to tell them, but just to know that they've done some research on their own is always a great step.
Great advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maria?
I'm guessing that you meant me. So, and my name is DeMara Gray. I work for Fisher Arnold Engineering and Architecture Firm. I'm not a U of M graduate. I went to University of Central Arkansas, about 2.5 hours from here. And now my son goes there. That's just the best way I can put it. The biggest thing that's important to me is that you actually know how to interview. Go and speak with someone who will ask you the tough questions. Make sure that you answer the question. If you're at home doing the interview, write the question down. It would be the same as if you were to answer a question on a test and you highlight the part that's just really the core part of the question. Make sure you answer the question and move on. Make sure that you come to the interview and you look professional. If it's going to be a Zoom interview, as we all know, no one cares about what you have bottom down. We don't care. You can iron a shirt and you can put it on. You can iron the wrinkles out of it and you can present yourself in the most professional manner possible. Those things matter a lot. I also think that it's important for you to have, like everyone says, research the company. There are people like me who can tell instantly in the first couple of moments if you have not researched the company at all. Do not come on an interview where you don't know what we do. It's off-putting, and it makes you go away as quick as you came in the interview. And you're just better than that.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Phillip.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you all today. My name is Phillip Lisenba. I'm, as with Sharon Bailey, I work with ServiceMaster, and I'm IT internship director there, and also an Agile enterprise coach. And I'm also an alumni from University of Memphis, so go Tigers go. For all of you out there, love University of Memphis. You know, Calandra and Nedra and Sharon and DeMara, they all stole my thunder. I'm keeping a list of everything I wanted to go over. But one of the things that I would recommend you to do is to eat something really good and healthy, okay? It's not the time to eat, you know, 6 donuts right before you go into an interview. I know this sounds, maybe you've never thought of this, but you really want to be relaxed, and you want to be hydrated. You don't want to be on a sugar high. So eat something, try to be relaxed, breathe, prepare yourself for it. I also suggest that maybe the day before you go to the interview that you completely do a dry run through. And as some of my peers suggested, you know, find some of those questions, do some research, definitely research the company like Ms. Gray mentioned. Do that, and do a dry run through the day before or a few hours before, and go over your introduction, go over you know, how you're going to ask questions, develop a list of questions. That is always a good thing. Sometimes we interview people and they don't really have any questions for us, which makes us think that, you know, they may not be interested in our company, or they're not really sure how to do the research. So if you can always go out to Google or Bing and research any company that you're interviewing for. So those are kind of some of my suggestions.
Thanks a lot. Okay, I.O. from Carrier.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Ayoola, Oredeka, but people just call me Ayo. It's easier to say that way. I currently am working with Carrier Corporation as a manufacturing engineer, mechanical and control systems. I'm not a University of Memphis alumni, graduated from Texas A&M, but I took some courses on University of Memphis last year before PLC programming and robotics and automation. Can you hear me? Shirley, can you hear me?
Yes, it's kind of a little static going in and out, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I feel that too. Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me. So my suggestions to students, engineering generally, not just IT alone, is the same, most of what everyone has been talking about. You want to make sure, you know, you take a deep dive into the company you're going to be interviewing with. You want to know their core values, the culture, the recent wins and achievement, and what makes the company stand out from their competitors. That is the first line of defense. That's one thing there, because most of the time, your first interview is going to be with HR personnel, and they want to know how well you really know the company, and if you really know what you're going to be joining. That's the reason why knowing the culture of the company is very important. And also, I would like to talk about what most students interviewee don't really do. It's like, for example, for those of you that already know the job you'll be interviewing for, that's a great plus for you. Because what you want to do is that you want to understand the roles and the responsibility of the job you be interviewing for. You want to look at qualities and the skills in the roles and responsibility that matches with your own skill set. That's exactly what you want to focus on. So you want to keep, every time you answer questions, well, whoever either the hiring managers or the HR person, you want to continuously reiterate your skills to the positions that the company is looking for, what is skill rather that the company is looking for in the position. These can land you another interview or even give you a dream job. So that's what they really want to see every time. And like everyone is the same. If you kind of like having your maybe your second interview, which is probably more technical, you want to start. You don't just want to be talking about the normal words like everybody knows how. You want to talk like an engineer. You want them to see the skills inside of you. Also, for those of you that will be having a phone interview, just like Zoom or maybe just normal phone interview, you don't want to wake up like you don't want to get to your phone and start an interview like you're just getting out of bed. You want to dress up. You want to create a sense of mental urgency for yourself. So by dressing up, at least by probably like a business casual, even if the interviewer is not seeing you, but you want to create a scenario for yourself, like actually talking to whoever is interviewing you. This gives you confidence, composure, and ability for you to be able to, feel free about yourself, like you're actually in the or whatever way you're having your interview. So I think if you can do this, yeah, you should be able to move ahead in your next interview.
All right, thanks a lot for that information. All right, Taylor?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, my name is Taylor Robinson. I also work at the Carrier Corporation with IO. I am a operations manager for our coil fabrication department. So I have 4 supervisors and about 250 hourly associates that help make our primary heat exchanger. I am a University of Memphis alumni in the engineering technology department, and started to take that transition from engineering over to operations as I've been here. So I would say definitely suggestions for interview. A lot of the things that most of the people have said are some of the things I was always thinking about. But definitely the 2 that I would most certainly highlight are practicing the interview, getting questions available, and working with someone. Have someone act as the other person on that company, especially someone that's been through those type of interviews before. And the second one is definitely around researching the company. You really want to have yourself, you really want to be able to stand out from other candidates, and knowing just that little bit more about what the company you're going towards interviewing for has will make a world of difference. So definitely practice the interview itself, and have questions prepared as well as research on the company. Those are the ones I definitely highlight. But as Phillip said earlier, most of these things are ones that we've gone through with everybody, but if you focus on those things, you should do well during your interview process.
Thanks a lot. All right, Carmen and then Will. Will or Carmen, are you there?
Hello. Hi there. I'm sorry, I'm muted. I had us on mute.
Okay.
But I'm Carmen Thompson. I'm here with Will, and I'll let him introduce himself. But I'm the HR specialist. I do the recruiting for our company. I've worked with U of M, with their STEM program and their side programs. I'm not a graduate of U of M, but I am a huge, huge fan. So, and I know that we've also had an internship program with U of M, and we've hired the majority of those students. So high success here with us at U of M. I do agree, and it's, I feel like you've covered most of what I would say, like the others have said, but an important thing to note is we've all agreed on so many of those that it would be a strong point to, yes, practice, eat healthy, be prepared, mentally prepared. But there's one thing that I think stands out on a lot of the interviews and being prepared. When you're asked in an interview, what is your weakness? You're going to hesitate and try to think of the right thing to say. So just a tip on that, because most companies ask that. I know we do. What's a strength? What's a professional weakness? But have that ready. Don't make it look like you're searching for a weakness, because everyone has something they can improve upon. So if you look at it like, okay, what is it that I need to work on or improve upon, then you can have that ready as an answer, and even say, don't really look at it as a weakness, but what I can improve upon is, and give them something of value, something that's real, that you are really working on, and just an honest approach to everything.
Thanks a lot.
Will?
Will?
Hi there, my name is Will Yan, and I'm actually a U of M graduate, but I'm not a electrical engineer. I'm actually a mechanical engineer, okay? I'm actually on the 3rd floor, if you don't remember. So, I do agree with everybody on how they talk about what are the tricks to actually have a great interview. So, I have some small suggestions. All right, number one, if you're doing an in-person interview, watch how you sit down when you're talking to your interviewer. You want to maintain your good posture. You want to sound actually be confident. You don't want to sit down and just kind of lean on the floor or lean on the table or lean back. And you want to sit straight and actually look confident and sound confident. I think, for me, I think that's 50% of the war right there. And I know for a fact that a lot of you guys, when you going through the interview, you will have your job description and you will know the company website. So what I would suggest you guys to do is to actually look at your job description, actually look at it, and then compare to the company website and make the connections, okay? Maybe you can, during the interview, you can ask some questions, you can bring some of suggestions, and actually bring some to the table, and maybe they'll be impressed on how prepared you are. Definitely come to the interview with the question that you have. You want to show how much research you have done. You want to sound enthusiastic about a job, and you want to sound confident. And I think with that, that's 75% of the interview.
Thanks a lot. We've got some great advice from our panelists. And I think one of the things that I heard every one of them say is research the company. So students, I hope you're taking great notes because they gave some great advice. Do your homework, do the research, know the job that you're going in to apply for. Be professional. That means in your appearance, your presentation, everything. So like I said, they gave some excellent advice. Now you just got to take heed of it, and you hear Jada and I giving the same thing all the time. So we're gonna move on to our next question, and I'm gonna go by the company. So when I say the company name, whoever the panelists are, you both can, however how many represent that company can answer. Okay. Thanks a lot, Ms. Sharon. She's going to have to leave us today, but I appreciate you joining us. So question number 2, if you can give just 1 or 2 things that students are not doing well in their interviews, and what areas should they do to improve? We're going to start with ServiceMaster. So Phillip, it's all yours.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to click on the mute button. Some things that we're seeing really is, and we've talked about that, and Taylor mentioned it, is really preparation, being prepared. And I think Calandra had mentioned this as well. Know some of the buzzwords, know some of the things that are going to be important for the position that you're interviewing for. Posture is very important. Making a connection with the people that you're interviewing with, very important. It's because it's really all about communication. In our world of culture, culture is big at our company, and I know it is for the other my peers who at their companies as well, being able to communicate, whether it's up the chain to your leaders, whether it's to your peers, or whether it's to people who are actually working on your team. So people will be looking for that in an interview. So, practice. Those are some of the things that you should work on. Being relaxed, being able to talk about things off the cuff, because people are going to ask you some crazy questions, like if there was an elephant on the Empire State Building, how would you get it off? How many marbles would fit into the size of a Volkswagen? I know those are some crazy questions, but some of my leaders have asked those questions, and they're asked just to see how you think and how you go about solving problems. So those are some of the things that I would suggest that you work on. Some of the things that we've seen that kind of make our interviewees nervous, and some of them flounder a little bit. So work on that, and always work on your communication and preparation. Thank you,
Great
Sheila.
answers. Thank you. All right, DeMara from Fisher Honor.
I think what matters the most to me is that students spend time figuring out what they have that's going to bring depth to my company. I need to know what you bring to the table. The table is bare. There's nothing on it. How can you help us move to the next level? And if you can't speak to that immediately, everyone's growing up in the age of Google or Bing, like Phillip said. Spend some time before you have the interview and look it up. It's really simple. Doesn't take much time. Look it up and come prepared. There's not a company out there, whether it be an engineering company or anything else, that wants their employees to come unprepared when we're providing a service. So if you're not going to take the time to provide the service for yourself, where is that to tell me that you're going to provide the service for me as a company?
Thanks a lot. So our next one would be from Hyosung, HICO.
So two things that they can improve upon with their interviewing. I think we've really touched on that on question number 1 and brought some of that. And then with question number 2 as well, being prepared and your posture. But coming to the interview, making sure that you are on time. Maybe even a little early, but I would not say come an hour beforehand. So find a good spot of what time it would be to arrive and make sure that they're not looking for you at 5 till saying, did they forget? Mm-hmm. So, and being prepared, I think that was mentioned, do a dry run on the interview questions. It's really awkward when you're at home and you have someone pretending to be that person that's going to interview you. You're going to feel a little bit of that same awkward, just for different reasons, when you are interviewing. So it kind of stretches you a little bit while you're practicing, even though it's not a real live interview. It makes you uncomfortable, but it gives you an opportunity to answer your questions while uncomfortable. So it's really, really good practice that you do a live session with that. So.
Thank you. MLGW, what advice do you have?
Everyone has said much of the things that I would say. 2 things that you're not doing is you're not preparing, not you, but students are not preparing their questions. They're not preparing their research of the company, things like that. So I believe those things have already been said, and I agree with my colleagues.
Thank you. AutoZone, do you have a tip that you can offer students?
I actually do. We've actually covered a lot of great points. Preparation is key. One of the things that we've noticed is most interviews are behavior interviews. And so we ask questions and we don't get the full answer. We'll have the situation, we don't have the action, we don't have the results. So one of the things that I actually encourage my interns to do is to think of the STAR method, situation/task. What action did you take in that particular project and what was the end result? Was it successful? Was it failure? How did you learn from that? And if you post all of your answers to your questions like that, you actually touch every point that we're looking for to understand how you were involved in the project, whether or not the project was successful, and how you contribute to the overall success of that project.
Thanks. We go over the STAR method all the time, so students should have heard of it already. So Carrier, Taylor, what do you and IO have to offer?
So 2 things that come to mind for me. One, try to avoid over explaining something. It's very easy, especially if you get nervous, if you get a question and then you start to ramble. When you start rambling and saying the same things over and over again, just in different ways, it starts to feel like you're just trying to fill space. And a lot of that comes with preparation as well. You got a question, add enough detail so it's clear that you're not just having a canned answer, and show that it's actually you that did that work and experienced that particular situation. But when you tend to get to the point where you start rambling a lot, it starts to lose some of that effect. It's easy to turn people off when you start to ramble over the same things over and over again. So a lot of that, again, comes back to preparation.
Thank you. Al, did you have anything to add?
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Because I noticed I have a lot of static the other time.
Yep. We can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Taylor, I think I go fully with everything Taylor said. One thing I want to add is what I noticed about mostly student interviewees is that a lot of them don't really know their resume well enough. There's some keywords that you use in your resume that whoever's trying to interview you, that's what they focus on. And when they ask you a question, because you're not used to what is there, you start rambling. You don't really know how to answer the question, you don't know what to say, and you can't really provide enthusiastic answers to them. From there, you can be able to tell that, oh, it probably doesn't really know what he or she is saying. So you want to be fully prepared and you want to be confident about yourself. It's normal to feel a little kind of shy or being scared, but as you go in the interview, the more you flow, the better confidence comes.
Yeah, and I'd say similar to what he said, your resume is a reference point. They don't want to interview the resume. They want to interview you. So never just read off your resume. It's literally just a guide to show where you've been, but the explanation really needs to come from you.
Thanks a lot. So we got some really great advice again for that question. Again, the overall answers and stuff is just being prepared. Do your preparation for it, practice those buzzwords. And I like what Ms. Gray said, what do you have to bring to the table? So come prepared. So as we move on to question number 3, panelists, just jump in. If you have an answer, I'm not going to go in any certain order. So however you want to answer. But what tips can you give for connecting with employers and finding opportunities, especially now while we still at home, students have more time that may not be having internships. So what can they be doing now to connect for the fall for internships and everything, or job offers for December graduates?
All right, this is Will Yan from Hyosung HICO. So Ms. Moses knows me quite well because when I graduated, I actually go to talk to her all the time during the job search. And also, I regularly talk to my professors. So, we have a lot of U of M graduates all over Memphis. And if you're actually looking for a job, you can ask your professors, ask Ms. Moses. They can actually reach out and contact the employers and see if they actually have any position available. So please don't ignore all these resources that you have. Build a good relationship with your professors and Ms. Moses and those who are there to help you, and your chance of finding a job is significantly higher.
Thank you, Will.
I would say take advantage of social media. Update your LinkedIn profile. Also, not only take advantage of social media, but control your social brand. And that's the best word I can think of it, because how you're looked at outside on the, so in social media, a lot of employers actually check that. I know that we do. We're actually looking for candidates on Facebook. We're looking for candidates on LinkedIn. We're looking at candidates on Twitter. So be mindful of your social brand. Use it to your advantage. Actually, the last 3 jobs I've actually had in my career, I was found on LinkedIn. So I know it works, and I think that's very important when you're trying to find opportunities.
Great advice. Anyone else from the panelists?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I would say is the tips, one of the tips I'll give for connecting with employers is which I think millennials can actually tap into, is there are a lot of jobs databases out there now, like ZipRecruiters, Indeed, Glassdoor. You can post a resume there. A lot of recruiters go there to search for candidates for positions, and so that's a good resource you can use. And also another thing that I think most companies do now is that most companies have a system where you can post your resume without really applying for a job. So that's the good thing you want to do, because they can match you to with your skill set and your resume. They can match you to position. Because most of the time, I'm coming out of school as a student interview, we don't really know what we want to do. So you trying to just post your having a good skill set and post it on the company website, you don't know who will see it. Might be the CEO, recruiters, hiring managers, and it can be a good, that also can be a good resource for you.
Thanks a lot. Does any of our other panelists have any tips for question number 3, especially from the HR people? Okay, well, thanks. So again, on that one, you have great resources there at the university. We have our career services. You have your people in your academic area, like my office, as well as your professors as resources you can use. Social media, make sure you check what's on your social media page, because employers do check. So you don't want to have anything on there that may come back to bite you. So clean it up if there's something on there that's questionable. And again, you can use resources like Glassdoor and Indeed. So we're going to move on with our questions that certain panelists are going to answer. So we're going to move on to number 4. What advice do you have for students to help them land their first internship or job? Or is it changed it? What tips? Well,
I'll go first, Taylor.
Okay.
Okay. My point is, make sure you highlight the classes that you've taken that apply to the skill sets that the job is needing. Speak directly. You want to take as much guesswork from someone that's having to do the research on you and having to do the interviews. So make sure, and it's perfectly okay to revise your resume for each job you apply for. It's actually the best practice. Make sure that at the top of your resume that it speaks to exactly what the company needs and how you can help that company to reach the deadline. Take out any guesswork for anyone else. If you actually want the job, make sure you make it easy for them to follow you from point A to point higher. It's the best advice I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, what I've also noticed, especially during the interview process, is as you go through the different elements of your resume, and this will be more practical later in life, maybe not as now since you're just starting. But for every stop that you're at, try to come up with 1 or 2 highlights or projects that you're very proud of, even if it's something as simple as you had to take a complete electrical panel and draw all the schematics for it. Obviously that's going to be beneficial to somebody, or would have already been done anyway. But try to come up with those 1 or 2 highlights at each step of the job to show an actionable and discrete result that you were able to drive from it. Even in your work in college, a lot of your work is project work or team work. Highlight the things that were beneficial in that particular project, and also then apply to that job. And I agree with what DeMara said. Your resume is your resume. There are some things you can tweak in there, but making sure to highlight the things that speak to your interviewer will help you go that much further. It'll make them think in their mind that, hey, this person's done something similar to what I need already. Maybe they could jump in and just go. They could set yourself apart.
Thank you both. And students are putting questions in the chat that we'll come back and we'll address those. So move on to number 5. After an interview, when is the proper time to follow up? Nedra?
Okay, thank you. I was waiting on DeMara, but I'll go on. I have noticed that students tend to follow up at different times. Some students follow up when they get back home from the interview. Some students, when they get to their car, they'll follow up with the interview. But I would say, please make sure that you follow up. If we didn't specifically tell you that we'll notify you in a week or 2, I would say follow up for sure in a couple of days. That way we're able to remember who we interviewed and see how serious you are about the position. Also, I had another thought that came to my mind. Follow up say thank you. Follow up with a thank you. Say thank you for interviewing me. I enjoyed the conversation that we had, and I hope that you will consider me for that position. Say thank you. It's very courteous, it's very respectful, and it goes a long way in corporations.
Great advice.
So I agree with her. Give it 48 hours and make sure you have questions from the interview that you remember. Your goal with the follow-up, we used to do it as a written letter because you can always know the address. You can Google it again. You can Google the address that the company is with, and then you knew who you interviewed with. Send an email or send a letter. Doesn't matter, but follow-up matters. Make sure that you have questions from your interview that you can apply to the email. Make it match is the best way I can say it. And then you want to make sure that you have SMART goals. I know everyone hears that, but with anything in engineering, time is money. So you want to make sure that you can make sure it's specific, attainable, all of that. Write in an email, write each sentence to speak to that, how you can do it, how it's going to be easy. You want to make sure the company sees quickly how hiring you is a gain for them. Take the guesswork out of it.
I like that. So quick question before we move on to number 6. I know we asked about to follow up at the interview, but if they meet you all at a career fair or another event, they may have given you the resume at the career fair. Is it okay to still follow up a few days at the career fair or a week if they hadn't heard from you? And do you want them to attach their resume again in that follow-up in case it got lost from the career fair or something? What do you all suggest for that?
I suggest, yes, follow up, even though we have met face-to-face. We meet so many students at career fairs. And even in this arena, there are about 40 of you on today's setting. Some I may remember, but many of you I won't. So it'll be best to follow up, even if you have given me a resume at the career fair. Follow up with an email and reattach your resume. It can't hurt, that's for sure.
So the one point that I want to make is when you send the information, on most companies, they have a careers page. At the bottom is going to be an email address that they send applications and resumes to. You can send me the information. I may not have a job open for you at that time, but what most recruiters are going to do is, because again, we want to make it easy for ourselves, we're going to print the resume out, make a couple of notes on it from where I talked to you, because what that really was a drive-by interview. So I've already seen you. I know what you're going to bring to the table. So I'm going to put that information in a folder. So when I have a job that comes open, I can go to that information first, sometimes before we even post the job. So what a benefit for you.
Excellent. So we're going to move on to number 6. Many students will have to take part-time jobs instead of positions in their fields. How are part-time jobs viewed by recruiters? Is it better to list or leave them off the resume?
All right, if DeMara don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead first. So during my interview, I actually did mention something about my previous job. I worked as a dishwasher on my final years at a pretty famous restaurant nearby, and they were surprised. They said that you could have gotten different jobs, but what makes you want to do a dishwashing job? So I tell them why, and then they were impressed because that means they think that I don't mind to get my hands dirty. You know, I can do what I need to do to go through. Also, there are a lot of students who likes cars. They know that they can actually work on their own cars, modifying it. Those kind of things would tell the employer who you are, what you like to do, and what you can provide. So don't mind to tell them what kind of job you had. If you were working as a bartender, a server, and things like that, tell them. Maybe you guys can make some kind of connections, because, I mean, being in college is quite long. I'm sure almost everybody had a part-time job or they had some kind of after-school activities. Tell them. It actually shows what kind of person you are. So definitely do that.
So the advice I would give is any job outside of going to school speaks to work-life balance. And I don't know any company that wants to hire someone that can't balance the two. Everyone has to balance the two. It's going to show me work-life balance, and it's going to show me work ethic. If I see your resume and you've worked a job and your GPA is a 3.2, 3.6, 3.9, whatever it is, I know that you can complete my projects on time and work a job. Automatically raises you a little bit higher because I know you have a work ethic. I know you can balance it all, and I'm okay with that. Even if you have a GPA that's a little lower, always speak to your work ethic. Always speak to your ability to balance it all, because there's no employer or employee that doesn't have to balance it.
Yes. Thanks. And Miss Nedra Bailey put in the chat that the part-time job shows that you're a hard worker, and she echoed what Miss Grace said, that it does that work-life balance. And Will have had many internships, co-ops, and everything besides his dishwasher position. So we're going to move on to number 7, and it's what are good suggestions for obtaining and keeping mentors and contacts for networking purposes. So Phillip, I need you to jump in from Sharon.
I will be happy to. Sharon actually gave me some things to read before she left, so I'm just going to read them and then I'll chime in here. Suggestion: mentorship is important to continual growth and receive unbiased feedback. Also, it's important to seek a mentor who doesn't look like you or in the field you're in right now. Seek a mentor who's a leader in the company to guide you through your career and to help you navigate through your profession. Also, I suggest changing mentors every 2 years. I found after 2 to 3 years, you basically maxed out with that mentor and it's time to find a different mentor. And that's okay. I've personally had about 3 to 4 mentors in my lifetime. Excuse me, that was from Sharon. I will support find a mentor who doesn't look like you or in the field that you're in right now. Before I started working on my MBA, I reached out and I hired an executive coach, and she was a doctor and she was an African-American woman. And she taught me so much about strategy and leadership. And she was not even in the IT field. She was in education. She was a principal here. Now she's working in Houston. But she was able to give me pointers and direction that I never would have had I stuck to a traditional IT mentorship type of a leader. So I definitely support what Sharon said.
Thank you. Carmen?
Yes, and I agree with that too on the mentors, and maybe switching out, like was mentioned too, but sometimes you might actually have a lifelong mentor where you can still reach back to those people. I think that you need to keep those connections, especially if you're sharing the same field, because that person can answer questions for you if you are trying to go a different direction, maybe to give you pointers. So it's very important, not just for your mentors, but to keep those connections and get out and network. Find network opportunities, even if it's IEEE. Find those times, even if school and in your job or anything's keeping you from that, try to get into something that's going to get you that exposure, and also not just exposure, but help you, learn more about what you're going to school for, and to see, you might not even know that you're interested in another part of engineering or IT until you speak with someone or watch them, work. So it's really, really important. Will is, we love Will. Will is awesome. So, but Will hits on so many things because Will mentored people, and they reach out to him now, about school and now jobs. So we flip that too and say, hey, Will, we're looking for this person, this type of person. I'm from U of M. Do you know what kind of student they were? So keeping that connection is very, very important.
Thanks. Some really good advice on, especially I like, get somebody that doesn't look like you or, the same gender and stuff, because they can bring so much value into what you're trying to do. And again, use your resources to network and everything. So we're going to move on to number 8. So what are some suggestions for gaining marketable skills and experience outside of traditional outlets? How can students capture their internships or capstone projects? Or when I'm meeting with students, sometimes they would be telling me, as Will say, I love working on cars, or I'm a mechanic, or I build things. How can students incorporate that on their resume and during the interview, those other skills?
That's a very good question. And I think someone mentioned it earlier. I can't remember if it was Will or Taylor. So it may have been DeMara, but basically you want to tailor your resume to whatever position that you're applying for. And if you're working on cars, or if you're, a bartender or a dishwasher, like Will, I was a dishwasher for a long time at Baptist Hospital, and you find different things within that job that you can put on your resume. For example, you have to be there on time, you're responsible, you're accountable. There's certain things that you're going to be that you're accountable for while you're at any job, and being able to list those things in your resume and show that you are responsible is very important. Also believe in doing what you're doing today. All of you who are on this call, you are looking for things outside of a traditional outlet, which is basically just job seeking, using social media. I'm also a big believer in, if you can't get the experience, you create your own. For example, some of you in the engineering department or computer engineering, maybe you're having a challenge finding a job. See if you can get a job at a local computer shop. See if you can get a job with the Geek Squad at Best Buy. Volunteer with your church, with any organization, and try to get in the technical field. When I got into IT, I was an applications instructor over at New Horizons Computer Learning Center. And going into network administration, I was having a difficult time trying to find somebody that would, I see Will there, somebody that would actually, give me an opportunity. So I created my own experience. I put together a bunch of old computers, and I created a lab for students to use free of charge. And that's how I became a network administrator, just by creating my own. So sometimes you have to think out of the box and do things that aren't necessarily traditional ways of doing things. But, and if you're always welcome to reach out to me. If you've got something you want to run by me and say, hey, what do you think? Would this work? Be happy to listen to you and maybe point you in the right direction. But those are some of the things that I feel that you could do.
Thanks a lot. Does anyone else from the panel want to add to that?
Well, I'll echo what Phillip said. I put it briefly in the chat, and that is participating in outreach programs or events or workshops or seminars that are in your field. Those are great ways to gain additional experience, and definitely worthwhile to put on your resume.
Thank you. So we're going to transition now. Jada is going to take over for the next set of questions, and I'll be monitoring the chat. So Jada.
All right, well, it has been so interesting. We've had some great points and tips. I did want to go back. There was a question, I don't know if we addressed it, because on question number 4, it asked, what advice do you have for students to help them land their first internship or job? And I think everything that you all have said up to this point has been a preparation phase. If one panelist would like to address that, I would welcome that. But I know it was a question also in the chat that someone asked, how do they get their first internship? How can they get their first job if they have no experience or limited experience? So would someone like to answer that? Any panelists?
I know, at least for me, I actually started this career as an intern. And a lot of it has to do with the connections you have. I happen to be moving to the Memphis area. I transferred colleges and graduated University of Memphis, and I was looking for different internships, and I just happened to be in good contact with a gentleman I used to go to church with, 8 years prior. And I just happened to be talking to him on the phone, and I told him that I was living in Carville, and the name Carville just triggered to him, because his brother is an engineering VP for Carrier, and he realized the name of Carville, which is just happened to be where I'm living. And he made a call. They hear about me in the interview. So a lot of it also just has to kind of be with the connections that you have at the time, because I had no experience whatsoever. I just finished my sophomore year of college, going into my junior year. And luckily they had a spot available to just come in. So, and then once you get in, just hit the ground running. Anything you need, try to provide as much value as possible. And I've been there ever since. So a lot of it, there could be connections that you don't think you actually have that could end up being very, very fruitful. Not even with the person that you're connecting with, but someone that may know the person that has the connection with. So always stay high on networking, and not just in the professional realm, but in recreation as well. Friends you hang out with, people you go to church with, people you just see walking around the neighborhood. Any of those things could be a networking opportunity that could land you an internship or a job for that matter.
I think that was a great point, Taylor. Does any other panelists want to jump in on that?
I'll jump in on that.
Okay.
I definitely echo what Taylor's saying. Networking, reaching out, volunteering. And a lot of times when you're trying to move from, you know, being a freshman or a sophomore into, you know, a field that where you want to go, it's really about perseverance. And I can't remember who said it, but it's about, can you juggle your personal life and go to school at the same time? And if you are a dishwasher like I and Will are, and you apply for an internship, but they can see something in you, at some point somebody's going to give you a shot. And you know, you may want to even volunteer with your professor on some of their projects. Anything that you can put on your resume. You know, you may be a freshman, but if you say, hey, I volunteered with Miss Meeks on a project and I helped her set up, you know, the STEM convention or the STEM event. Those are things that you can put on your resume. So that's what I mean about kind of creating your own experience. And like Taylor said, reaching out, networking with people, because you never know who you're going to meet that might be able to give you an opportunity.
Thank you so much. And so I wanted to make sure I got that answered, because it was put in the chat and it was one of our original questions. But also, even with just being on campus, like Phillip and Taylor said, when students meet with me and a company calls me and says, I need a computer science or an engineering student, more than likely those students that I have reviewed their resume, met with them, worked with them on the project, their name is going to come to my mind right away. And so networking is important. And a lot of positions don't even get posted. They're given by the network that you have. So please learn to network, and we teach you how to do that in our different sessions. So this opportunity today is amazing that you're here. So we're going to go on to the next question. Thank you, panelists, for that. Question number 9 is, what do you say to students that are afraid to connect online with employers that they do not know, or even just to be able to connect with people they don't know in general in order to learn how to network? Because I know the stigma is a lot of STEM students are shy and they may be uncomfortable, you know, doing certain things, but we want to champion teaching our STEM students to be outgoing. So what do you say to them? How can they do this? So we have, I'm not sure if Calandra's here. She left and came back. So if Calandra's here, she can jump in. If not, we'll jump to you. So go ahead, Will.
Unfortunately, Will had to leave with Carmen.
Okay.
So it looks like both of them are gone, and I don't want to hog the session. So I'll just wait for another person to respond, or I'll just respond, whatever you say.
Go ahead,
Dr.
respond, and we'll give another person a response. So since you're on, go ahead, let's do this.
I know that fear of meeting people it's a very common fear that people have. Unfortunately, it is one that you will have to overcome if you're trying to get a job. It's like stepping outside of the box, doing something that you haven't done before in order to get something that you haven't had before. You have to transition yourself from that shy, timid, inward person and stretch out to an outward, more outgoing, more personal person. You have to meet people and say, hello, how are you? My name is Nedra Bailey. What is your name? Or hello, how are you? I noticed that you work at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. Can you tell me more about your company? I make it seem easy, but it really isn't, because each encounter with a person is a different experience. You're in a different setting, the person is different, you have to use different terminology. But unfortunately, you have to get over the fear of meeting people and stretch out and do what you've never done before to get what you've never had before.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to jump in on that thought? What do you say to students who are afraid? Well,
I think Nedra said it all. She said it best.
okay, thank you, Phillip. All right, so we'll go ahead and go to the next question. How important is my LinkedIn profile, and how can I improve on my profile, like Handshake and LinkedIn, so that employers will be more interested? So is IO still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we currently live in an information age where almost anything is done online. So your LinkedIn profile is very, very important in getting for those of you that are trying to land your job or your first internship. It's very, very important. I can't overemphasize that, because what your LinkedIn profiles actually reveal is that it reveals to your potential employer the kind of who you are, kind of person you are, because they're not really seeing you, they don't really know you. So it tells them the kind of person you are by he or she looking at your connections. You have your pictures over there, your profile, if your skill set, so they can easily tell if you can match whatever positions they have currently. Also, for those of you that have your recommendations from maybe, which I will definitely advise, like student interviewee, you want to make sure you have 1 or 2 recommendations before you leave school on your LinkedIn profile. So because that is what recruiters can actually look at. It's like, oh, it's done this, it's done that. You have 1 or 2 people vouching for you. That can be can give you a step higher in your interview. And also, what makes LinkedIn very important is that it's a very professional social networking platform compared to other ones that I've seen. It's 100% professional. So you want to be mindful of what you post there, because you might have a CEO in your connections. You don't do the same thing you do on Facebook or Instagram, on LinkedIn. You want to be very professional, even as a student, because you don't know who is who and who is watching you. Another thing I think why LinkedIn is very important is because it's like it makes your resume more tenable when your profile is well polished. If your profile is well polished, it makes your resume much more tenable, because your LinkedIn profile contains more information that you can even actually put on your resume. That can really help in raising your stakes in your interview.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else want to add to that question?
Yeah.
Since, yes, Phillip?
Yes, I have a really good quote here from Sharon. Your LinkedIn profile is as important as your resume, which is basically some of the same things that Ayoola said. Actually, it's a living online resume. I suggest you make as many LinkedIn connections as possible, and updating your profile on LinkedIn is super important. And add your accomplishments, your degrees, your certifications, and your affiliations. And as Nedra said earlier, sometimes to get to where you want to go, you have to do some things that you don't want to do, or some things that you need to do. Sometimes connecting with somebody online is a little less stressful than connecting to somebody face to face. So it's a step. Eventually, you're going to have to put your hand out and meet somebody eventually. But making those connections. I've reached out to people before when I'm job hunting, and I will say, hey, Ayoola and Carmen, I see that you're working for these companies. I'm interested in working for your company. Do you know of anything that's available, or can you point me in the right direction? And guess what? 50% of the time, probably higher than that, those people are going to point you in the right direction and say, hey, contact this person, or go over here, or here's a link to our website. So you've made a new contact by doing that, and possibly you may get another job, or at least you've expanded your network in people that you're communicating with. So that's from Sharon and myself.
Okay, thank you. DeMara, yes.
Yeah, I would just like to add, run your resume and LinkedIn through Grammarly. I'm going to put the link in the comments. What I will say is everything with engineering is highly detailed. Why would you put a resume out with flaws or sentences that are not 100% right, passive, fragments, things like that? Why would you put that out there and then turn around and tell me that you're highly detailed? Because you just gave me proof that you weren't. So the best thing you can do is use any of the aids that you have possible. Run your resume through Grammarly, run your LinkedIn through Grammarly, turn it on through every profile, every setting that you have, so it checks every single thing. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Those are great points. And the only thing I want to add to it is for students to know that your handshake profile is important as well, because some students have gotten interviews and jobs just by filling out their handshake profiles, and companies will search on handshake as well as LinkedIn and offer interviews and the possibility of a job. So both of them, all of them are important, and you need to make sure you have updated all of them. And I love that point, DeMara, to run it through Grammarly. Question 11, should I create an online profile to show my portfolio, excuse me, to show my, oh, sorry about that. What question are we on? I'm going the wrong direction. I am so sorry.
Yeah, question 12. Question 12.
Let's see, go back. I am so sorry. I hit a wrong button and it just kept going. Okay, all right.
Might be question 11. I can't recall.
Yeah, it was
11.
Just finished up 10.
This is it.
It's okay. That happens. That happens when you're on the spot, for real.
So should I create an online portfolio to show my projects and my skills? What do you all think about that? So Taylor.
You definitely can. Definitely depending on what type of job you're interviewing for. Sometimes that could drive, it can enhance it, or it could almost make it too cluttered. Mm-hmm. If you have something, it's got to be very clean. It can't be, it's not a research paper. Like, don't stick a research paper in a online portfolio and expect someone to read it. It's got to be brief and detailed, but to the point. So if you have that, I'm sure it can only enhance it. I personally have not done an online portfolio myself, but also just because I came in so early and didn't have anything in it, and I've been at the same job since. But if you have some of those things, as long as it's clean and concise and can add elements to certain things in your resume, then sure. But me personally, and maybe some of the HR people could maybe feel differently, but I wouldn't just make it just to make it. It's got to have something that enhances your overall value as well as your resume.
Thank you. Does any other HR person or manager want to speak to that? No, okay. All right, so question number 12. What programming languages does your company prefer? And Calandra did leave her answer to that question. I think she put it in the chat box for everyone, and I'm trying to go to it. She said their company looked for Java, Spring, Spring Boot, React.js plus React Native. So if any other company wants to speak to what languages they are looking for in their companies, we'd appreciate you to give that now.
I checked with an IT manager at MLGW because I didn't know that answer off the top of my head. And she said that we prefer C#, Oracle PL / SQL, Java, Python, Oracle Form / OAF / Apex. And I realized that with Oracle, our HR or our professionals at MLGW, they are required to attend Oracle University. So the university is sending them to Oracle.
Okay.
I don't know if students are able to get that online or get that before or outside of their education, unless it is definitely pertinent to something that they're doing, some job that they have done.
Okay. Anyone else want to add?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I think this is an excellent question. Before I give you a list of some of the software that we use at our company, let me just say that a lot of people are looking for people who can learn fast and quickly. So it's important for you to teach yourself how to be able to pick up new skills at a fast pace, because technology in the application world, in the technology arena, it can change on a dime. And if you're stuck in one language, which there's nothing wrong with being an expert in one language, but if you want to work at a particular company, if I want to work at ServiceMaster or MLGW or a carrier, and they're going to change technologies, I'm either going to have to change with them, or I'm going to have to go someplace else that fits my current skill set. So my advice is to always be open-minded, be willing to learn new things, because that actually gives you extra value, not just with your company, but in the marketplace. So I want to read you just a quick list of what we use here. We use Apex as well with our Salesforce implementation, Node.js, .NET Core, Angular, TypeScript, React.js, AWS services is really large at our company, and many companies are studying that and implementing that. JavaScript, HTML, Knockout.js, React, and C#. Those are some of the ones that we're using.
Okay, so the key thing I heard was be able to learn fast and quickly, which means that you can transition and you're not stuck in one place. You are able to adapt and be flexible. And that's one of the things that a college degree will get you as well, is you have to be able to transition and flex and move to what the environment needs right now. So thank you both for that. So the next question is, what electrical engineering skills should I focus on developing? So I don't know who can answer that question. From an electrical engineering standpoint, who would like to address that? DeMara, are you coming?
Hey, Jader,
Just one second.
Hi,
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Yes. I think that's my question, but that's question 14 or 12.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Ayo. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because I got confused. I know that should be 14 or 12. That's what she said.
That would be my fault. So yes, go ahead, answer that.
Okay, so as an electrical engineer, the major skills you really want to focus on as a student interviewee, one of the very important one is the circuit design. You want to be very proficient in your circuit design. I mean, they don't really require much of you coming out of school, but that's why, like someone said earlier, ability to learn fast and grow your skills. So, but you want to have a good knowledge of basic circuit design, regardless of what your next position is going to be, because you don't want to be in an interview and you ask a simple question in circuit design as an EE student and you can't even give an answer to that. So that's one. Also, as an electrical engineer, you want to focus on your skills of developing and interpreting electrical schematics. That's equally very important. So you want to make sure you develop your skills and that your electrical schematics skills, how to develop, how to interpret schematics. Especially for those of you that will be working as an electrical engineer or manufacturing engineers, that's a very great skill. you want to start focusing on your CAD skills, like AutoCAD or whatever CAD software that is out there, to be able to design different kind of, to be able to design electrical, to be able to draft rather electrical schematics and site design. So CAD skills is very important. That's one of the skills you want to focus on. You want to work on your coding skills really good, and you want some of the programming language you can learn or probably may grow your skills on is a C# that everyone has been talking about, Python, you see programming.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of do a recap because he started breaking up. So I think I heard him say circuit design, work on your schematics, make sure you can do your CAD and AutoCAD designing, coding skills, C# and Python. Is there anyone else that wants to add to that as it relates to electrical engineering skills? Thank you.
I'll say this and then in a moment, go ahead, Sharon.
Go ahead.
I'll say this and then in a moment I'll need to jump off for prior engagement. What I will say is the best time to clarify exactly what someone needs or exactly what products they use at their company is when the offer to interview is extended. Because there's no questions on the, you haven't had a chance to give a first impression. You can simply say, hi, DeMara, I want to make sure that I was aware of the skills and programs that you use at Fisher Arnold. I'm not going to think anything of that question because it's valid. We're a company full of engineers, architects, planners, consultants. We're going to do a little bit of everything. If you ask the question on the front end, there's no harm on the back end because at least you have time to Google, understand, and apply the information that I give you from the answer versus showing up to the interview knowing nothing.
I love that answer, DeMara, because most students are afraid to ask questions on the front end. They're just excited to get an interview. And so I think this is a very great answer as far as giving them tips to ask that on the front end. When you are scheduled to interview, go ahead and ask what you need to know. So I think that is great. Ayo, I apologize for mixing the screen up. Let's see, let's go to the next one. So question 13, I don't know if it's question, yes. Should students take other courses outside of the university, learning programming languages and technologies not in the university curriculum, and how is that viewed? So we have Nedra on that one.
And I've touched on that just a little bit. There is I'm trying to think of the name of the organization that holds technical classes, New Horizon, that's what I'm trying to think of. New Horizon holds a lot of technical classes that, and Southwest holds technical classes that if you're interested in taking those classes, if you think that it would further your career, then of course do so. There is no way, like the coworkers that I have that are in our IT department, they have to take Oracle, and they found out that these Oracle classes were demanded of them because our company switched over to that computer software. Take whatever interests you and whatever you are good at doing. It is viewed once again like a part-time job. It's viewed showing that you are a hard worker, that you can balance work, school, and life demands, and that you can think outside the box. So if it is available for you to do, go on and learn some additional languages. Of course, different situations apply to different people. If it's not available, then of course you can't do that. But if it is available, it is definitely not frowned upon that you do more than what is asked. We favor that, we like that.
Okay, thank you. I see that someone mentioned that MIT offers a lot of free technical classes online as well. And Jody Montgomery is actually doing one right now that isn't offered
That's right.
in our normal curriculum. So there are probably other online sources as well. So I think that's awesome that our students are taking the initiative. Thank you, Nedra, for that. And there was that question. So I did have it right. So the last question that anybody can jump in and answer, are there any certifications or licenses that will be valuable to help a student stand out as an exceptional candidate? And I'm opening that up to anyone who would like to answer that. And this is our last official question on our list. So thank you all you students for staying online, and we're gonna give you a moment right after this answer.
Okay, so here I go again, jumping in, and I'm sorry. There is a license that students have as electrical engineers that they take, and it just, because I'm online and because I'm in front of you, I can't remember it right now, but it is what PEs, professional engineers, take, but it's on the lower level. What is that license? I know each and every one of
the engineers of FE, the FE?
FE, that's it. That's it. The fundamental of engineering. I couldn't think of it to save my life. Okay. We at MLGW, we like for you to have the FE. It's not required, but it's just preferred. You know, depending on your curriculum, we like the FE license.
Okay, anybody else have other license, or is that the main one? AO, are you trying to talk, or Taylor? Okay, you know, and I know that in computer science, computer engineering, there are also some other licenses, certifications for different languages that you may be able to get as well. And so I'm not going to call any of those out because I was hoping somebody had one, but otherwise, we're going to go on to now we're at the point to where we want the students that have stayed strong and stay with us. There's 29 people. We are so proud of you. Turn your cameras on now, students. We want to thank our panelists for these initial questions and giving us all this information, and for you all staying on longer. So students, will you please turn your cameras on now so our panelists can at least get a view of who you are. And then I'm going to also read through some of the questions that I was able to pull while Sheila was actually moderating the questions. So while we're waiting on, go ahead, Sheila.
I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen so we can see the full screen of the people.
Let me do that. Let me stop sharing. Okay. All right. So students, we're still waiting on you to share your screen. You can do that now. And they may be a little shy. Here they come. Hi, Trey.
Hi, Trey.
Hi, Kamana.
And there's Amana. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Hey, everybody.
You're welcome. Hey, right there in the green shirt. I cannot pronounce your name, but hello.
My name is Mortaza. Hello.
Okay, Mortazalo. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi,
Thank
Trey.
you.
Hi, Trey.
Oh, here comes some more.
Hi, y'all.
Come on, keep it coming.
Joshua.
Come on, turn these cameras on.
Hey, y'all. Don't be scared. Don't be ashamed. Remember,
hi, Cedric.
You have
yeah, we have 17 participants still holding out on us. Come on.
Got to
Come
get
on,
over.
Maduri. Come on, Maduri. Come on, Roma. Come on, Jody.
They stepped away.
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't have a webcam.
I have a microphone, but not a webcam.
I gotcha.
That's fine, Joe.
Hi, Remy.
Hello.
And there's Roma. Look at Remy. Remy, you got to speak up. Hi, Remy.
Hello.
That's better. Yes.
This is a networking moment. This is an opportunity for you to be seen and be able to make a connection. So when you connect with them on LinkedIn, they'll know your face. There you go. All right.
All right. I can't pronounce her name. Soad?
Yeah, it's Swad.
Swad. Okay. Hi. Pleasure to meet you.
And we still got 14 people holding out. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a picture of those that are on now.
That's what I was doing too, Jada.
Come on.
Taking up.
All right.
I'm gonna take two.
Yes.
Look, me too. Woohoo!
So
okay, wait, I'm gonna take another picture because Paulina just came in. So hold on,
Hello.
Paulina. Somebody told Paulina that they was taking out the camera, so she was good. She wanted to take a picture.
Yeah, we still have 12 people. Now, while we're waiting on these 12 to join, I'm going to go ahead and ask these last couple of questions that students had actually put in. Jody had asked, in the engineering field, how much weight is given to a graduate degree versus an undergraduate degree with some experience, part-time internship? So can one of our panelists address that? How much weight is given to a graduate degree versus an undergraduate degree for engineering?
Well, at MLGW, we want to mold you. We want you to become the perfect engineer for utilities. That's electricity and gas and water. So we look for bachelor's degrees in engineering. Now, if you have a master's degree in engineering, that's well and fine, but we want you to have also a bachelor's degree in engineering. Like, you can't have a bachelor's degree in business and then switch on over to engineering. We probably won't go for that, but we want you fresh out of college with your engineering background or fundamentals, so that we can mold you into the perfect engineer, the perfect one.
All right, perfect. So the next question, Commander asks, what skills do you need for the internship? And I think that may have been addressed. And then the other question was addressed. So I think that's it. Now, students, do you have any burning question that you didn't type in this on the screen? And Zoa, we see that you don't have a mic, but we're glad you're here. Hi, Michael. Thank you for joining. And Mahari. Hi.
Hello.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to say anything? You want to say hello? Thank you to the panelists.
And Jade, I just want to thank all the new incoming freshmen who is not even on campus yet that I've been talking to. I see Zedric Banner from, not Alabama, but from here. He's on here, and a couple other freshmen that's already taking part of our activities. So they're ahead of the game.
Right.
And that's a good thing. It is real good to take part in whatever career services is doing for your major, because we trust employers, and we trust career services. We go through career services asking for interns all the time. Yeah. So good for you guys.
And so
I would just like
to go ahead. Who was about to say something?
Oh, Trey Sullivan. Hi. I would just like to thank all of y'all, really. I am an upcoming freshman, and I am just honored to be here and get the opportunity to meet all the panelists and stuff. And I would just like to thank all of you for the information that you've given me, and it's really been helpful.
Okay. Thank you for speaking up, Trey. We appreciate you being here, and
yes,
appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. All of you. I know you all are busy sitting around with coronavirus. But thank you all for prioritizing this. We look for things that you prioritize, and it is really important to prioritize the right things.
Great.
Yes, Trey, it's nice to meet you. Good job on being a freshman and coming to an event like this. I know it might be a little bit daunting. And all the rest of you too, those who've got your cameras on, those who don't, we are honored to have you here. Just a little tip, a networking tip. If you go to your Zoom group chat, you can actually save this chat file. I recommend that all of you do that if you've never done that before, and then that way you can connect with us and go back and have all the links available to you that people have posted. So just another little networking tip, not with just us, but with each other as well.
So does any student want to ask any other question or say anything that has not, while we have you all on video? And I'm just so proud of you all for staying open. Okay, go ahead. My screen is covering up your name. Zafar Spoon? Yes.
Zoya. This is Zoya from Civil Engineering Department. Nice to meet you. Thank you for all clues, and it was so useful meeting for me. Actually, I'm so happy. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to share my screen again for the final. I got a few more slides I would like to show you all. I want you all to do this for us. We would like feedback from you all, and you can email it to either me or Shalia. In our email, you should have gotten multiple emails from us about this event. So if you can email to jmeeks@memphis.edu or srmoses@memphis.edu and let us know what was beneficial for you, what other events you want us to host for you, and anything else you want to tell us. We just want to know how this has been impactful for you in writing. We always like to get data to turn in. And then lastly, we want to thank AutoZone, Memphis Light Gas and Water, Fisher Arnold, ServiceMaster, Courier, and HICO, Hyosung. I probably said that wrong, for joining us today and giving us feedback. And Sheila and I are just so excited that you all participated with us, helped our students, and stayed the long haul. We appreciate you. Sheila, do you want to say any last words?
You pretty much summed it up. We are very appreciative of our panelists, especially for those that was able to stay on the entire time. We had a lot of questions, but you got them in, and for the students for participating. And we hope to see you if we on campus. We hope some of the panelists will be able to come and participate in on-campus events. But if not, we'll have more virtual opportunities.
Anybody got any last words in there about panelists? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry earlier, my power and the laptop went out while I was trying to talk. So I want to apologize to everyone.
And Phillip just said the best thing, go Tigers, go.
Everybody let's say that, go Tigers, go. Go Tigers, go.
Go Tigers, go.
Go Tigers.
Taylor, did you want to say anything?
No, just very thankful to have the opportunity, and thanks for all the students and other young professionals for allowing us to, give insight that we have. We're truly very appreciative, and good luck to all of you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. We'll send the link.
Bye.
Put the link on YouTube.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Bye.